Hey, it's Tess, content creator, model, presenter, and host of the Tess Talks podcast, on a mission to ignite curiosity. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm so excited to be back in front of the mic. I know it's been a hot minute. We took a few weeks off to go and get married. So I'm officially a wifey and a Wilson, which is crazy. We honestly had the best week of our lives, and it was a crazy 18 months of planning, but it was all worth it for that moment. Celebrating our love and our life journey together and our future together with all of our loved ones by our side was the most memorable experience I've ever had. And Shaun and I are still just like glowing in all of the wedding bliss afterglow. And we are actually just about to go on our honeymoon, which is so exciting. I'm sure you've all seen all the content that I've been churning out. It was truly the most magical week that we have ever experienced. And I thought, what a beautiful way to get back into the podcast and back into this season by having none other than our wedding planner as the first guest back. So today we are going to be talking all things weddings. And quite literally, the guest joining us today is the one who brought it all to life, Brittney. She is the founder of Nuptial Collective and obviously the genius behind the most magical weekend of our lives. So I feel like this is going to be an amazing episode, whether you're newly engaged or knee deep in all the Pinterest boards, or maybe just here for like the romance and future planning. This episode is full with so much gold. We started off by delving a little bit into my wedding, and I hope that that gives you guys like some inspiration or some insight into like how we went about it and how we got creative, and also some really, really cool touch points that we added throughout our 4-day event with our friends and family. But then we really dive into how that can be practically applied to you guys. So where to start planning, how to work out your budget, and whether you want to go with a planner or maybe it's something you want to pull off solo. So there are so many amazing tips in this episode. I hope you love it. Grab a coffee, grab a notepad, and let's get curious. God, there's a lot of pressure that comes with weddings.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It can be pretty high stress. I'm very impressed that you entered that field. It's like big responsibility managing people's special days.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm honestly like so excited that you could like join me for this. And I think also that I get to like relive like the wedding magic, because it honestly was just like the best week of our lives. And I kind of feel like we've been able to like drag on what it was like, and now our honeymoon's not until next month, so we kind of like have that to look forward to, and we've just been like reliving all the content that keeps getting delivered, like the videos, and then the photos come, and then the content comes, and I don't know, it's been so nice to be able to relive it, you know, over and over.
Amazing.
We put so much work into it, and now we get to relive again, talk it through and tell everyone about it.
Yay, exciting.
So Britt was for everyone listening, was our head wedding planner from the Nuptial Collective. And we reached out to you, I would say, late December last year. It wasn't a long time before our wedding, but we actually found you guys through Instagram, believe it or not.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because how long have you been around?
So we've been around for about 6 years now.
Okay.
So sort of started right before COVID.
Yeah.
And then that's
interesting time to start.
Yes, interesting time to start an events planning company. But it sort of allowed us to ease into it, which was nice. There was no pressure. We only had one wedding that needed a date change, so that was good.
That's amazing.
And we managed to reschedule the entire thing to the following weekend somehow. All suppliers are available, everything. So that worked, right? But yeah, so 6 years.
How did you get into the space?
So I have come from an accounting background, but I've always been a design sort of driven person at heart. That's sort of where my skill set sort of lies more so. But obviously the accounting stuff comes in handy when it comes to planning a wedding. We need to focus on budget, of course, sometimes.
Very important. Do our best.
So yeah, there's sort of it two worlds collided for me, and both sort of skill sets married into another. And then, I was planning my own wedding, sort of fell into it, loved it, and then thought I'm going to go out on a limb here and do my own thing. And it's sort of the rest is history.
It's honestly amazing. I feel like in a relatively short space of time, like you just gained such this amazing like recognition online for like the quality of your weddings and like the aesthetic. And like when we first stumbled across you guys, like it was a pretty instant gut reaction for us to be like, these are the people we need. I actually think Shaun found you on his For You page.
Oh, thanks, Shaun.
Groomzilla popping through with his For You page showing all the wedding stuff. But what would you say is like maybe the biggest difference between someone or a couple who goes with a professional planner versus like going solo?
Yeah, so I'd say that couples that invest in a planner, because it is an investment, allowing themselves to enjoy their engagement a little bit more. So, if you are tackling the job by yourself, it is like having another full-time job.
Totally.
So it's a lot of work, a lot more work than I think people realize.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting that little bit of extra help, or, you are investing in a little bit more freedom and allowing your planner to put the time and work into the logistic side of things, and you can more so focus on the emotive things. Your planner doesn't know your guest list. So it allows you to, focus on things like your vows, your speeches, bits and pieces like that are really, music selection is really important and emotive, but your guests know you and what you would select, and you know what your guests will really vibe to on the night. So all of those things all of those decisions still need to be made, whether or not you have a planner. But if you don't have a planner, you also have a lot of other things to do. So those are the sort of the things that can sort of get left to the last minute or get overlooked. So it's just allowing yourself a little bit more freedom.
And I think you're so right. I think it's so easy to underestimate the amount of work that's involved. And I don't think it really matters if it's, a wedding for 50 people or 100 plus people. Like organizing any event for a larger amount of people is a lot of work. And I think like Shaun and I went in very confident, being like, we've both done so many events. We love events. And obviously we knew we wanted wedding planners. But obviously we were quite large. We did 3 major events, but I think even still we underestimated the amount of work that was involved. And like you're saying, even that emotive stuff and the things that we wanted to focus on, like your song selections and, doing things for your guests, like even us spending time doing that took hours. It almost can, which is wild to say, but it almost can become like a full-time job.
Yeah, absolutely.
it is yours. So obviously it is,
Yeah, it really is though. It really is. And when you're the bride, you are sort of overanalyzing those decisions and looking into every possible selection. So when you don't have a planner and you're sort of still focusing on logistics and, all of the other elements, those really important key details, song selection, where the guests are sitting, what are the conversations happening on the table? That is a really important element to guest experience. Pairing up groups on your seating chart, things like that can be left till sort of, the last minute or be overlooked when you're worried about everything else. So
yes,
if budget allows, it's sort of, an investment in, assistance for the logistics.
So from your perspective, can you walk us through, I guess, what a wedding planner like actually does? So from like start to finish, can you give us a little bit of an overview about how the process works?
Yeah. So basically we take the reins on the entire process if it's a full service planning and styling brief. So we would begin by, hopefully we've been engaged prior to a venue selection, not always the case. But if we are, then we would assist with venue scouting, getting to know you guys and what venues sort of fit the brief and all of that sort of thing. Once the venue has been selected, then we are going straight into all of your main suppliers. So think photographer, videographer, a celebrant, entertainment options, catering if we need it. And then that goes into, once all of those sort of main suppliers and our core team has been selected, then we go into the styling side of things. So that's basically bringing your mood board to life and bringing the visuals out onto the wedding. And then it's also us liaising with all of those suppliers throughout the entire process and creating your run sheets, timelines, making sure everyone's on board for the day. Then we're there to bump everything in right throughout the entire day, potentially sometimes days before as well, as was the case for yours.
I'm literally getting like goosebumps like when you're talking now because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just the best week ever. But yeah, carry on.
And then we're there, days before bumping in, on the day, getting everything ready. We're there going through all of the proceedings, of course, guiding you down the aisle, making sure all of the dinner runs smoothly and on time and everything. And then we're there for bump out as well. So it is a full service. It encapsulates basically everything. In saying that, obviously we work collaboratively with our clients and it's your day. So we want to make sure that client, bride and groom, whoever it may be, gets exactly what they dream of. And we're just there to basically, bring it all together, make the magic happen.
It's such an emotive thing as well, isn't it? Like, I think it's also so important to like have like a connection or rapport with your wedding planners because it's such like a special time in your life. And I know for us, like we just connected with you guys so quickly. And then it's almost like during those moments, you know, on the day, you're almost like there, like in the background, like holding our hand. You know, those moments before, you know, I walk down the aisle and just like having that moment with you and like deep breath and the preparation and just kind of having that guardian angel looking over being like, I've got this and you've got this. And, you know, it's a really special thing.
Oh, exactly. Like just before, as you're saying, just before you walk down the aisle, it's you're standing there with your dad and me.
Literally, yeah.
And I'm saying to you, you know, this is a special time with your dad. Take the time and
breathe.
Enjoy it. Breathe. Me crying usually. As many of them as I've done. It's emotional for me. It's special. Course, It's your moment with your dad and or whoever's guiding, you know, guiding the bride down the aisle. And it's beautiful. It's special. So and we become good friends.
I know. It's really sad when it's all over because, you know, you spend so much time over, you know, 12, 18 months or whatever organizing it. And then all of a sudden it's over and, you know, we had both had our, departing flights and we're like, okay, well, see you around.
Exactly.
And now we get to do this.
Yes.
It was actually, I do want to backtrack to when we first engaged you because it was interesting for Shaun and I because we had obviously decided to get married in Los Angeles. Originally, we were going to go with more of like a relaxed beachside wedding in Byron because that's where we got engaged and we just thought it'd be really lovely and us. And as time went on, we kind of just thought we actually looked at quite a few venues there and nothing was like resonating to either of us. And then we were finding we were coming into issues with the council. They were really strict with noise restrictions and different things like that. So we were feeling really limited. And we also started thinking about like, well, what do we love? You know, we love events. We love bringing our friends and family together. We also love traveling. But for me, I was like, I didn't want to do the classic European wedding because I just wanted to do something different. We also knew we had a lot upcoming. So I kind of felt the guilt to try asking our friends to go there again. Long story short, we decided to settle on one of our favorite hotels, which is Beverly Hills Hotel. It's also the first hotel that Shaun and I had ever stayed at together internationally, which is randomly during COVID. So anyway, we'd stayed there a few times and we'd always had such a magical experience. And we thought, how insane would it be to be able to show our family and friends why we love this place so much and what is so magic about it? So we ended up making that decision. And it was around the time that we were finishing off our home build and I was pregnant, not far off giving birth. And we had a contact in LA who was like, yeah, I have a great wedding planner over here. We thought it made sense to go with someone local. So we didn't even really look into it too much and we just kind of trusted our recommendation and we proceeded with this wedding planner. Fast forward a few months, we'd moved into a house, we'd given birth. We honestly hadn't really thought about it too much. We just kind of told them a rough brief and a mood board and left it at that. Coming out to Christmas, we thought we should probably touch base and see what's happening with our wedding, where we're at, get aligned and everything. And we just very quickly realized that we just had very different perceptions of what we were trying to achieve, a different style. And that's so fine. And I think that's why it is so important to maybe like do your research properly, which we hadn't done, look into the wedding planner that's going to be right for you. And very unlike us, we just hadn't done that. And we made a very rushed decision before Christmas that we needed to pivot. And that's when very luckily our Instagram recommendations worked in our favor and you guys popped up.
Yes.
So we came knocking on your door basically being like, our wedding is in like 9 months. Hills, and it's on the other side of the world in a place you probably haven't done weddings before. Could you be our wedding planners? You and your amazing staff member Liv. And you were like, yeah, we can fit you in because I know you are busy and you do have a few weddings on your schedule. And that was really how it came about. And I know we like just deep dove really quickly in the new year to be like, how can we turn this around? We need to get invites out within like 4 weeks. We need to secure supplies. We need to, and then we gave you the challenge of being like, oh, we need to do this in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
What was your perception of like when that all came about and being like, can we do a wedding in LA?
Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah.
Until I heard the date. And then I was a little stressed. But it's still enough time. 9 months. We've planned a wedding in 4 weeks.
You're joking?
No, I'm not joking.
Wow. Okay, you
so
can do
it can absolutely be done.
Yeah.
And yeah, like LA, what better city to bring it all to life? It was a first for us for planning a wedding in LA. However, we plan weddings all over the world. Well, I've got one in Japan in a couple of weeks.
Oh, it's unreal.
We had one in Mallorca in the same season, Portugal, Rome, all over. So, yeah, global weddings are sort of our niche. And yeah, I was excited.
How do you generally balance it between working with local suppliers and suppliers in whatever country you're doing it in? Because I assume it must be a bit of a juggle when it's like a new city every time. Do you have like a formula for that?
Yeah, so I guess it depends where the client's from as well. So generally we have Australian clients. We do have a few American clients as well. Also like discussing with the client what's super important to them and their vision. So for things like photographers, videographers, some celebrants, that sort of thing. A lot of if it's an Australian client, a lot of the Australian suppliers base themselves over in Europe, for example, or overseas during our winter, as there's no sort of weddings here then. And often clients are coming to us, showing us people like, Jack Henry's photography and things like that. So then we, in that situation, we can use an Australian supplier for that. For things like entertainment and that sort of thing, generally we'll use local. It's a balance between both, and it depends on the client's vision, what they're after, budget, of course, as well. So every single client is different, and each strikes a different balance.
Yeah, I kind of for some reason thought that like when we go to LA, like it'll be so easy to organize because LA has everything there, and but in a sense, like it is hard, like tracking down, finding all the right suppliers. And initially I was like, we'll get everything done over there. And then I started being like, no, I know trusted people here, or you had recommendations. Like I was absolutely stoked with our stationery girl that came through. Like she was just phenomenal. Izzy from Cupid's Archive, like so good.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So,
and there's things like that. So we had everything designed here but printed over there. So we're working with someone here that we know and trust. We can easily communicate with them because of time, Australian timing and all of that sort of thing. But then to have some of it printed over there, the bigger items that is, that worked as well. So, everything sort of has its own way to sort of do it, I guess.
Yeah. And for us, I think like we ended up loving the idea of a destination wedding because it meant that like we knew our friends were going to be there for that full like period. No one could like run off and be like, gotta go home to the kids or whatever. Like everyone was there and they were so committed.
Yeah.
And for us, like we just had such a clear vision as well about like what experience we wanted to give our guests, and like the classic like LA experience. And so we actually technically had 4 events, but I guess the first event was like a little more low key, but it still ended up being like so beautiful. And that was our family dinner on the first night with our bridal party and our groomsmen and close family. And that was so beautiful at the Polo Lounge, and just had like a really nice way to bring everyone together and thank everyone for, coming there and being there. And I also feel like Shaun and I were so busy that week that we didn't get a lot of time with our bridal party and our groomsmen in the lead up. So it was just a really nice night to like sink in before the like craziness of
the
it.
moment.
Yeah, and be with those really close special people and
absolutely
have that moment with them. So for us, that was really, really special and like a magical way to like kickstart it. I think so much more than we had anticipated.
Yeah.
So we loved that we did that. And then the next night, which was the Thursday, we did our welcome event.
Yes.
So that was cocktail attire, sunset cocktail attire inspired on a rooftop at the Edition in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that was so much fun.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it was. And I think like working with you guys along the whole process, like, you know, we had like somewhat of a vision, but then being able to work with you guys on creatives and getting your expertise on what you've done before and, you know, what you think works and your recommendations.
And bringing it to life.
Yeah.
And like developing the brief as we're going as well. So you guys came to us for that particular event, wanting to give your guests the LA experience. So then we sort of work, you know, collaboratively with you, making sure that we're bringing that to life for you, for the guest experience with things like as the guests entered the at the rooftop, they were greeted by the paparazzi sort of taking their flash photography and everything, and guests are walking in posing, and it was such a fun welcome for everybody that really took them by surprise, and they loved it. Loved it.
I know. I wish I saw more people's reactions. I remember at the end of the night you were like, everyone loved it. And everyone was like so shocked, like, oh my God, what's going on? And I think it just also like got the energy so high so quick because people walked in like, whoa, like what the hell just happened?
Exactly.
And like a great talking point. And
iconically LA, that's exactly what it is. You greeted it with a white carpet in your case, and paparazzi, here we go.
Yeah, literally. And that was important for us to focus on a few like activations. We're like, how can we make this fun? I think Shaun's experience doing so many events for Bondi Sands in previous years, like they were always having to be innovative and thinking about activations. And that's actually where we got the paparazzi idea from, because they had done it on their blue carpet for an event a few years back. So that was a fantastic activation.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, live sashimi stations, sushi, that is also iconically LA. So you're bringing to life this brief through food and bev, through entertainment options, through obviously your friends DJ'd and everything.
Yeah. And I love that we injected some color into that event. You know, colorful florals and tying into those colors of the sunset and the pool. And I just feel like that gave it a really different kind of twist. And then with Shaun and I choosing to wear something blue, just a little unexpected. And
100%. Yeah. Your outfit, the blush tones, peach tones, and the blues throughout the florals, that was the color of the sky that night. So it all sort of tied in really beautifully.
And I think that's where it like also comes into like the storytelling that comes through your wedding. And, you know, we're kind of thinking about how are all our events like connecting, like what is the overarching theme of our wedding, and leaning into that kind of like real old Hollywood romance, but having, I guess, the combination between like the classic and timeless kind of wedding day, but then the more like fun and poppy and vibrant, you know, kind of side events. But carrying a theme throughout it and having that storytelling, and then also having the storytelling which is relevant to the couple. So, you know, obviously we had our story of why we wanted to do LA, but then, you know, why we wanted different like touch points and different experiences, why we chose specific music, why we chose specific activations. Like it's like everything kind of came into our story and our own kind of messaging, which was kind of really nice, a nice way to kind of look at it.
While also still feeling like 3 very individual events for the guests.
It was actually really funny. I remember like a couple of days before when we'd all touched down in LA, and literally like that time of year, and part of the reason we chose to get married at that time of year is this is literally never any rain. Like the weather is perfect in LA. They hadn't had rain in like I think 2 or 3 months or something.
We'd been watching that radar.
And then just all of a sudden the weather decided to pop a little, not even a sprinkle, like a storm on the Thursday night starting at 5 o'clock when we were supposed to bump in. Just that night.
Just one day.
The one day of our rooftop. I was like, are you joking? And I remember messaging you guys freaking out, and you were like, yeah, the venue want to do a wet weather plan. I was like, oh no, I can't go inside. Like we've planned this for so long.
I think your response was not happening.
Not an option. You were like, well, oh, that's an option. And you guys are telling me to go and bury a sausage in the garden. Apparently, I hadn't heard that old wives' tale before, but apparently you've had brides that have done that before.
Yeah, it's worked.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I opted for the calling on an Etsy witch.
Yeah,
which I did 1 or 2 nights before, and It worked.
Yeah, it did work.
It worked.
Yes, I was very impressed.
Yeah, me too. Woke up, clear skies, forecasted.
You've given me her contact for future.
Oh, great. Yeah, I did pop her on TikTok. So that was our first event and that was so much fun. And we spaced it out. So we had a day off in between to the Friday, which was like rehearsals day. And I'm so glad we did because there was that first night energy where people get really excited.
Everyone was very happy after that event.
Totally. So there's only a few sore heads that next day.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad we had that recovery day, or day off, I should say. And then, we did the rehearsals on the Friday. And then the Saturday was our wedding day. And that was honestly just like, it was honestly the best day of our lives. Like it was just so magic and everything we'd ever dreamed of. And it's so weird, like when people have been asking me about it, I'm like, I don't even really know where to start. What do I start with? Like the whole thing was so magic.
Yeah, there was and even within that one day, it almost felt like there were 3 separate events within that one, space in a way. The ceremony was romantic and soft and feminine and just beautiful. And then the canapes is sort of where the energy started to, kick up a notch. And that was almost an event within itself as well, everyone mingling. And then obviously the dinner was, epic.
Totally.
Yeah.
But even like before that, like I'm even looking back to the morning of like getting ready.
Yeah.
And I think often that's such an overlooked moment because, if you choose to have a bridal party or groomsmen, like for us, like getting ready that morning, like it was so special. And I remember initially Shaun had been like, you want 6 bridesmaids? Like that's so OTT. And I was like, but I just don't know how to choose between them. And he's like, well, I'm only having 3 or 4. So you've got to cut it down. And I'm so glad I pushed back. It was like, I can't cut it down because having them on the day and having them all there, it was such a special moment. It was so special to like kickstart that energy. And me and one of my girlfriends, we actually did a meditation that morning. And that's something I would definitely like recommend because there had been so much like build up and high energy and almost, the nerves of the day, the excitement of the day, the stress of the week and getting things organized.
Yeah.
It can become a real blur and it almost you can sometimes, I think, easily overlook what it's about if you don't like slow down and take a minute.
Yeah.
And I actually had a dear friend who couldn't be at the wedding who recorded a meditation for me. She does meditation classes and she recorded like a 10-minute thing and we sat down and did it. And it just helped me really reconnect with myself, my breath, but then also the gratitude for where we were, what was happening, that I was marrying the love of my life, and just the simplicity of being like how blessed to like have someone to walk this life with,
Absolutely. Ground yourself in the morning and then, It
was really, really special. What did the morning look like for you? Like, can you map out how you like organize like the day and like what it looks like from your perspective?
Yeah. So by that time, obviously so many months of work have gone into, getting there to the day. So generally it's pretty smooth by that stage where, we've got a list and we're just checking everything off and making sure everything's sort of being placed where it should be, ready for all of the guests' arrival. So obviously we start with the ceremony space and making sure that that's all ready to go. And also for a planner, it is just liaising with all of those suppliers throughout the day and ensuring that they're comfortable, they know what, where they should be at what time and that everything's sort of running smoothly. Sometimes it can be a little bit of chaos, but generally by that time it's pretty smooth going because we've done all the hard
machine
work.
At that point. Yeah.
All the hard work's been done and it's just let's sort of get it done and enjoy it.
Totally. And it was really amazing having you like by my side and getting ready and walking down that aisle like was such a special moment. And then obviously like we ran off to do our photos and photos of the family. But as you said, like we had this beautiful cocktail hour afterwards and we had this like old school Frank Sinatra style singer and he was just so wonderful. And I feel like our guests really did feel like they had been transported back in time to like this old Hollywood. I almost felt like with our song selections as well, like I feel like we were almost walking our guests like through the decades. So, we had these old school singers. We had violinists during the ceremony playing like really classical music. And then we had the Frank Sinatra style singer. And then leading into dinner, it transitioned into more of like that 80s disco. And when we did our like bridal hall entrances and things. And obviously by the end of the night, it was, that more classic, like upbeat wedding music, maybe a couple little techno Tessie songs in the mix that I'd requested. But it really was like walking through the decades. And I think that was something that, I was very specific about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, design is one thing, florals, stationery, all of those sort of, decor pieces, all of those elements. That is a design feature, but music is also a design feature for your guest experience. Like you're saying, when guests walked into to the canapé space, the Frank Sinatra singer is there greeting them, live pianist. That instantly creates a vibe for the guests. They know sort of, they're feeling something, and then that accompanied with mini martinis on arrival, caviar station with vodka shots. It's all of those food and bev selections, entertainment selections. They're all setting a tone for your guests to feel, that like they've stepped into your world.
All those touch points as well were so important to Shaun and I. I think like we love like touch points, and I know we've been so hard on you guys the whole time through, like, give us another touch point idea. What's another one? The amount of times I went to AI, give me more touch point ideas. Like, I think it's with Shaun's marketing background as well. It's like we just love it. We love branding. We love touch points. Like,
I think every email we received from Shaun contained the word touch point.
So classic. I love it. But I feel like we had so many great ones, like from having our own like wedding logo created, which is so cool, and we like rehashed the look of it for the recovery day, but we had that like theming through the whole event, and as you said, like really cute touch points on the wedding day, from the personalized like matches, and we had like these name cards done, but then on the back of everyone's name card, we had like a little personal note for everyone. And as you guys design like the cute little table number seating cards, which is all like around this very like classic inspired, like hotel display room kind of table with this beautiful floral arrangement.
Yeah, classic hotel foyer table, like given we're at the Beverly Hills Hotel. They're all sort of the little thoughts that, create a moment out of a seating chart.
Totally. Yeah. And that's where that extra thought process and planning really like comes in.
And for every element.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Seeing people's reactions, I guess, on the day of all those little moments. And even as we had created the welcome gift packs for people on arrival.
Hanging on their doors.
The Airbnbs or in their hotel room. That was a bit of like logistics to organize, but that was your idea. And I think that was so wonderful, in creating these little packs that had like little maps of LA and our favorite places and the itinerary of the weekend, and a couple little keepsakes from the hotel. Like that was just such a cool way to like kickstart, I guess, the events.
Exactly. And greeting your guests in a way of welcome to LA, but not just welcome to LA, welcome to Tess and Shaun's LA.
Totally.
This is what we love to do here. Step inside our world for a second.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
Totally. Hashtag the Wilson's wed. Let's take a moment for today's episode sponsor. As you all know, I have had a year filled with some of the most special memories, which has really made me realize the importance of documenting them and creating keepsakes. So I need to put you onto one brand that does this better than anyone I've seen. Vorfreude Stationery. They create thoughtfully designed, personalized keepsakes for life's most meaningful milestones: weddings, babies, family memories, and all the little moments that you want to relive forever. Every piece is made to order, completely personalized, and designed with the kind of craftsmanship that really lasts. They have been doing this for over 8 years, and it really shows in the detail. I shared a few with you recently over the wedding, and so many of you were asking where they were from, such as our wedding guest book, our vow books, and personalized coat hangers for all my bridesmaids, which was so cute and a great keepsake for them. Some of their signature pieces, which I also love, are their family photo album and baby memory albums, plus their Santa Claus keepsake letters. I got one for Romy's first Christmas last year, and it was such a special keepsake. They really are items that you won't just use once and forget about, but they really do become part of your story. Vorfreude's mission is simple: to help you create meaningful, lasting memories through beautiful, personalized keepsakes that you will cherish forever. They offer free shipping Australia-wide on orders over $99, and you can also pay later with Afterpay, Klarna, or PayPal. PayPal. And of course, because you're here listening, you will get a little something special. You can use my code TESSTALKS15 at checkout for 15% off store-wide. Head to vorfreude.com.au, that's spelled VORFREUDE, and start creating your keepsakes today. I will also put all the details in the show notes below, but now let's get back to the episode. And then to wrap up all our events, we obviously had the recovery day, and I should probably add a side note, like we did actually fly you guys over to LA earlier in the year to do a bit of a walkthrough. And I guess that's not always possible, but I think for us, like it was amazing being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so worth it. And we sat down and did the tasting and everything, but even right down to the food and bev selections. Like I think that your guests right throughout were like, this is so them. Like everything that was served was very you guys, you know?
Yeah.
So you want that. You want your guests to feel that when they're there. It's not just another event. It's not just another wedding. You want your guests walking in and thinking, this is so Tess and Shaun, or
totally.
You know? So,
yeah. Figuring out what's you and your partner, like what is so you and what will make
absolutely.
people.
Yeah. And making those decisions for every single element like that. And it might seem like overthinking sometimes, but when you're making those decisions based on what you guys love, that's when at the end of the day, the wedding will come across the most authentic.
So true. We actually had one or two comments which were more on the hater side, like why so OTT? And like I get it, like it's not everyone's cup of tea to do a big wedding, and I so get that, because there was also a part of the process with Shaun and I was so stressed with, like we could have happily eloped and been just as beautiful. No, we loved it all, but I think also like for us, like we absolutely love hosting people, we love events, we love traveling, so everything, as you say, everything about it was so like iconically us.
Absolutely.
And really felt like us. And then even with that Sunday, you know, like I used to, like pre-baby, pre-COVID, love festivals and like going out and that kind of stuff, and as Shaun too. And for us, we wanted that like beautiful recovery, like poolside, and we found this amazing property to do that in. Yeah. But then like having that form into more of that like festival like feel. We had this amazing performance by sax and cello and their DJ Ziggy. So sunset went down, but it literally felt like it was a festival. And
it really did.
It really did.
Sets all day. We had entertainment, the synchronized swimmers, the food carts. It was it was like a festival.
It was a mini festival. And again, like for any of my friends that know me, like that's just so me. I did a festival for my 25th birthday in the country. I did a really small one for my 21st. Like it's just stuff that we love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We get one life. Like there's not many celebrations like an opportunity like a wedding to celebrate it. And yes, it's not for everyone, but it is for a lot of people. So why not take the opportunity?
Oh, it was so magic. Yeah, it was so magic. I could talk about it forever, but let's get into a few like practical things for people who are planning a wedding.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that like, you know, a few people messaged me and were like, I just feel really overwhelmed. Like we are getting married. I don't know where to start. I would assume majority of people don't have, you know, a background in like event planning or realizing the as we spoke earlier, I guess like the amount of work that it kind of can take. So I know we briefly touched on it, but like where do you think is like the best place for people to start?
So if you are wanting to get a planner or a stylist, that's where you should start. Yeah. Book your planner, book your stylist, and they can guide you from there. Aside from that, the next point would be your venue. Once you've got your venue and your date selected, the rest sort of can fall into place. The other sort of big ticket items that sort of tend to book out early are things like photographer, videographer, celebrant. They're probably the next points of call that I would suggest. And then the rest does basically fall into place after that. Once you've had a big think about what the guest experience looks like, that's when you can decide on your catering, on your entertainment options, the style, the look and feel of the wedding. That all comes later. The main sort of start points are definitely planner and stylist if that's on the cards, otherwise venue, photographer, videographer for sure.
What would you say is like the optimal timeline before your wedding date to start planning?
18 months is generally still good.
Yeah.
Anything above that is, 2 years is plenty of time generally. 12 months, we're sort of starting to get into the getting a little bit later, and photographers and, venues and things do book out. So then you will have to sort of go into it knowing that you may not get your first preference with some of the suppliers, which is still okay. There's, lots of high quality suppliers out there. But it's just good to be realistic about your timeline as well, and knowing that, if you are wanting your first pick of venue and all of those suppliers, to get in within that probably 18-month time frame.
And you've got different tiers as well. So someone can commit to the full service, or there's less. What are the options that people can do?
Yeah, so generally most of our clients do full service.
Yep.
We also offer partial planning and styling.
Okay.
So that's where we take the reins on a couple of planning elements.
Yeah.
If you're confident, perhaps you already have your photographer, videographer, that sort of thing, and maybe we'll take the reins on a couple of the others, and then it's full styling. We do just styling, no planning. So if you are happy taking the reins on the planning, we can then come in and just do the styling side of things and a style guide and bringing all of that to life. Separately, we do sometimes offer space for an 8 weeks out. So we would only really recommend that if you don't have budget for a full service, or if you've gotten to the point where you've done everything yourself and it's the 8-week mark and you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed and you're wanting someone to take the reins and everything and just tie up all of the loose ends, create that run sheet, bump everything in and be there on the day for logistics, then we do offer that as well on more of a bespoke basis.
That's awesome. That's so good. You've got flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Depends on our schedule for the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're flexible.
What do you think would be some of the most underrated things that people overlook with the planning process?
Definitely logistical items. So people always think about the high level stuff, your photographer, flowers, that sort of thing, or the way it's sort of going to look, or the things you get out of it at the end, like your photos, your video. It's more the hidden stuff that no one really considers. The transport, how is everybody getting there? Are we supplying transport for just bride and groom, or are we supplying it for family and guests and everybody else? AV, the way that everything sounds is super important. And lighting, that is a super important item for the day that can get overlooked. If we're planning at a private property, as we did for your recovery day, it's the hidden things, the bathrooms, the rubbish removal, bringing in kitchens, that sort of thing is definitely overlooked and can impact budget quite significantly. That, sometimes people don't realize how much that stuff can sort of add up to. But often people think about what they can see, not the things that are sort of underneath it all.
And you can totally see, even just through that list, about how easily it could take over someone's life. You can see why brides and the groom can get so stressed by it, because, if you're working full time, if you have kids, if you have whatever, this stuff is incredibly time consuming.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So what about for someone that is trying to, keep to a budget and maybe trying to balance a few of these things, or they want to get kickstarted themselves? Do you have any tips for them, or any apps you recommend, or things that they can kind of start the process that gives them a bit of a head start, DIY or cost friendly? Yeah.
So just I definitely recommend having a really good thorough spreadsheet. We have our own online platform that all of our clients can jump on. But if you're doing it yourself, a thorough spreadsheet, make sure that all of your sums are actually accurate. And it's not quite right. Having tabs for each supplier, as you're getting all of the quotes for your photographers, writing that down in one tab, comparing costs, that sort of thing, and do the same for each individual supplier. And then having an overall budget tab at the end as well. To-do lists are obviously a huge one, and just setting aside more time than you think. However much time you think, basically set aside double.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot more time consuming than what people think.
Yeah, so right. And even if you think that maybe you're organized, you can't account for if a supplier needs more time, if a designer needs more time, if a printer needs more time. There's all these things that do end up being out of your control.
Absolutely. There's a lot of moving parts that I don't think that people quite realize. So yeah, just the more time you give yourself, the better.
Yeah, so true. And you're right with budget as well, because I think that's one of the biggest things people find is that the budget can so easily blow out of control. And I think, unfortunately, there is that quote unquote like wedding tax. As soon as like people see like a wedding's coming along, things seem to just like subtly double in price. And, you know, it's just like the nature, I think, unfortunately, of when, you know, you're planning a wedding, that it is easy for these things to, I guess, get out of control if you're not on top of it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And all of the bills are sort of due, you know, a month prior to your wedding. So it's okay to sort of tick everything off. But then once you've got to actually, you know, come to pay for it all, that's obviously got to be done. So yeah, just important if you do have a strict budget to stick with that and make sure that it's all within, within scope.
Someone did ask on socials though, but are there any like small things that can make a difference? So like I'm trying to think about little things that, you know, like we did, and I think it's those emotive things, like taking the time to write a little note for our guests on the back of their seating chart.
Yeah.
You know, there's little things that, you know, they become talking points, or specific with music choices we discussed before, like little things that people know are you, so they become talking points.
Yes,
or something you've done for them. Are there any other like cute little like small things that maybe make a big difference, whether it's emotive or styling or?
Yeah, so I'd probably recommend really thinking about your guest experience, as I've mentioned before. So it's not just about the flowers and the way that they look. It is about those more personal items, like your notes that you wrote on the back of your place cards. Anything that's going to, you know, allow your guests to walk in and give them a little bit of a smile, to be like, wow, that really reflects the particular couple. I know that content and memory sort of keepsakes is really important to you and Shaun, and us having the photo booth there, you know, as yes, that's something like that might be a little bit more of an investment, but it's something that is super special to you guys, and you know, content and that sort of keepsake memory stuff is super important, and it does reflect you guys. So little choices like that feel like you guys.
And the Polaroid camera we had on the recovery day that people were taking around, that we had a book for people to like stick their photos in and write little notes.
Exactly.
Really simple things like that are like really fun for people to do.
Yeah.
Another wedding I went to, which I absolutely loved, for their and you might have seen this, but for their table seating chart, instead of having like cards or like a chart, it was like a wall of little like limoncello shots.
Yes,
and then it had your name on it, and so everyone would like walk up and like take a shot, and it was so fun. And obviously it got everyone like in the vibe straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can get really creative with it, and I think there's so much great inspo online now as well, through like Pinterest and TikTok, of just like really cute little, you know, things you can do that make it feel really special.
Yeah, absolutely. And not including things just to include them either. You know, like when your guests arrive at your wedding, they understand that they're there for your wedding. You don't need a welcome sign. You know, so for budget and things like that, don't have something just to have it, basically.
Yeah.
Even a seating chart, like your planner or your venue can actually seat your guests. If you're having a seating chart, make it a moment. Let's actually make it evokes the bride and groom, or it is sort of a moment within itself, like what we did for your wedding. You know, you don't just have to have these things just to tick them off and have them. If you're having them, make them count.
And if we talk about the design and styling just like a little bit more, I know we've touched on it a lot, but like how do you think is the best way for like a couple to find like a theme or an aesthetic that works for them? Like, do you have a process of how you work with them on that if someone comes to you and they're like a little bit unsure?
Yeah, so it's about getting to know the client. So who are they as people? How do they dress? You know, where do they live? How do they live? How do they celebrate? How do they travel? These are like really important ways that of lifestyle, basically, and then bringing that lifestyle out in the event, basically. So, you know, using your wedding as an example, you've also got to make sure that you're keeping the venue in mind as well, because the way that you and Shaun, you know, the way you live, it's very minimal.
Yes.
Lots of whites, lots of beiges, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
However, the Beverly Hills Hotel, palm wallpaper, pink and green stripes. So it's really striking that. However, the Beverly Hills Hotel does reflect you and Shaun in a way of, that's how you like to travel. That's how you like, that is a lifestyle element of yours. It does clash a little bit with the way that you like to live though. So it's striking not every category is going to align.
It's so true. And I remember we had quite a few conversations around this early on because then I started panicking. You were like, these like pink roses will look beautiful. And I was like, pink roses? What do you mean pink?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, working through that with you, and we end up finding the most perfect aesthetic and way to pull it together. But you're so right. Like
it's striking a balance between multiple categories. That is the way you like to travel. It can be a little bit fun and frivolous. And, you know, the Beverly Hills Hotel aesthetic is playful. Whereas your home aesthetic, this studio aesthetic, it's like very minimal and, you know, they do contradict one another. So it's about bringing together multiple visions to ensure that it does reflect you guys. And also having the flexibility to allow, you know, your wedding day particularly to really evoke you, but also having the flexibility to allow your, you know, pre and post events to be a little bit more playful, which you did let us have a lot of fun with that. The welcome party being, you know, those sort of sunset tones, and we did include some color there. And obviously the recovery party was the yellow, you know, iconic yellow and white stripes. So allowing yourself a little bit of flexibility to have a little bit of fun with it as well, while, you know, the wedding day, I love a classic wedding. So that is sort of what we generally specialize in. That sort of classic aesthetic. And I think that having that particular day really be the one that encapsulates who you are is important.
Totally. And I think that another really good piece of advice that someone gave me kind of as we were starting was like almost create like a mood board of you and your partner and do one, I don't know what they're called, but you know when you like put your names in the middle and then you like line off all different like little things and you just like kind of do a brain dump about like everything that's you guys. And
totally.
Anything from like colors to experiences you've done to, I don't know, what food you like literally anything. And it's amazing how much like comes to life on a page when you do that.
Absolutely, yeah. And bringing through those aesthetics, like I've said, through not just through decor, not just through flowers, not just through styling elements, but through food and bev, through entertainment choices. It's all of those decisions are what create the mood for the day.
And I think also like I feel like there's these conversations online around, you know, trends versus what's you. And there's so many, I feel like, amazing trends online, so many like beautiful things that I've seen. And it was like finding that fine line between like, am I going to look back on this and feel like that was like iconically us? Or was I leaning into more of like a trend for that year, what was trending in bridal and weddings? How do you go between like working, you know, with trends, and are there any like massive trends you've seen that like you're really loving?
I think with trends, it's one of those things that there's always going to be things that, you know, come in and out. And I don't think anyone's ever going to look back on their wedding photos and really feel like there's nothing about it that feels like it was in 2025 or whenever it may be. But as long as your decisions are reflecting what you love and who you are at that time, that is where the photos and everything will feel the most authentic and effortless. It's when you as selecting trends just because they're a trend, but they may not mean anything to you. You know, for example, the color of the season, whether it's blue or maroon or whatever it may be, that sort of changes from season to season. If you're selecting that tone just because it's, you know, trendy, it's not going to reflect in the photos. It's not going to reflect in, you know, as the years go by. But if you're choosing those particular things because they mean something to you, or a flower or whatever, you know, whatever it may be, then that's where it will feel effortless and timeless.
So true. Well, I was going to ask you then, like, do you have a design trend that you're absolutely hating? Are you like open to everything, or have you seen anything that you're like, I just can't see that again, or I would never do that? Or
yeah, I mean, like there's so many things that sort of come and go.
Yeah.
Always, you know, even things from 5 years ago are already starting to come back, you know, bits and pieces. But it's more so when people are including things that is unnecessary or is just to include it.
Yeah.
Like the welcome sign. If you're just having a welcome sign to have a welcome sign, don't have a welcome sign. If we're having a welcome sign, let's make it a moment and let's make sure it reflects something, or it's a touch point, it's a guest experience. Let's, you know, at your recovery, we had a welcome stand and everybody got a hand-stamped coconut on arrival, and there were Bondi Sands sunscreens there, and it felt like a moment. We're not just having a sign just to have a sign. Those sort of trends, when you see, you know, people including things just to have them is, in my opinion, a waste of budget. I think it's better off served somewhere else. Increase your food and bev in that case. Give everyone an extra cocktail. It's more about including things. If you're including them, make sure that they mean something.
I'm so glad you said that, because I actually really saw you carry that through the whole wedding. Like every time we brought something forward, you would kind of meet it with like, okay, but what is the intention behind this? How are we doing this? Is this something necessary? Is this going to make sense? Is it going to fit the story? And I just think it was a really good like question to have, and it allowed that thing to either be more impactful or to be like, actually, we don't really need this. This is better off invested elsewhere.
And for brides and grooms, there's so much noise out there. Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, it's very noisy.
Yes.
Going to friends' weddings, you know, seeing what other people are doing. It's there's a lot of, you know, inspo that can influence the way that, you know, if you are a bride to be, it can really influence what you want. So it's good to step away and, like you said, see, is this impactful? Does it feel intentional? If it doesn't, just lose it. You don't need it.
Honestly, such good advice. I feel like it would be a really nice way to end with like just a few of our like biggest recommendations like for the day of, or I guess any of the events. But I think I was thinking about it a lot about like what really like was important or like stuck out to us from the days. And I know I've loved watching TikTok videos of people being like, this is some of like our biggest recommendations. And I was doing a bit of a brain dump about what were these like little things that we did that kind of made everything really work and like come together on the day, and that like meant a lot to us. And obviously we've spoken about like so many different things over the episode, and I feel like you've given so many good like touch points of like advice and how people can start. But I think like really leaning into what that day is going to be like, and really like sinking into feeling, how do I want this day to look? How do I want to look back on this day? How do I want to remember this day? And like for Shaun and I, it was really, really important to be like, we just want to feel so incredibly present. Like we have put in an insane amount of work over the last 18 months to get to this day. And now it's about us. And as much as we've brought all of our friends together, and it's obviously for our friends and family to experience as well, like this wedding day is our moment. So what's going to make that day feel like we're together and we're connected? And I think like some of the little things for us was absolutely no phones. We put our phones away for the entire day. I did have mine out at dinner, but that was just in case the nanny needed to get in touch with me. I did not use my phone. And then mapping out like, what do you think you need throughout the day? And obviously that's why it's amazing having wedding planners like you guys who generally will assist with like everything, like who's that person that's, you know, if you're having a handbag, who's going to be bringing that handbag around for you the day? Is it your wedding planner? Is it one of your bridesmaids? Is it family? You know, are you going to be doing your own touch-ups? Are you going to be asking for hair and makeup to stay? And I think it's also easy to overlook that some of those things can actually make a really big difference like on the day, because you want to be present with your partner. You want to be present with your friends. You don't want to be rushing around being like, where did I leave my lipstick? Or, exactly, you know, where's this or that? And then I think for us as well, it was like planning out every little moment. So, and I think you helped us with that as well, but to be like really mapping out a good mood board of how we want our photos. And a good photographer or videographer will sit down with you pre-wedding and map that out with you. Or if you have the chance to do a walkthrough, luckily the Beverly Hills Hotel have a lot of photos online, and I had found so many references as well that I loved, or areas I knew that I loved in the hotel. So we were very specific about like, we have 45 minutes to do our shoot. This is where we want our photos. This is how we want our videos done. This is how we want our kiss to be. This is how we want to kiss at the altar. Yep. Like we practice literally everything, and it can sound a little crazy, but I wanted to like look back and know that I was looking back on things that I felt really proud of. And obviously, you know, I appreciate good aesthetics. I wanted everything to feel good, but I also wanted Shaun and I to just go in and feel so comfortable on the day that we just knew what was happening. We felt, you know, so set that everything was happening as it should. And it meant that we were more present with each other. And I think another massive piece of advice that so many like brides and grooms say is mapping out some time for like just you guys. Yeah. Because it is such a whirlwind. And, you know, we did map out we only mapped out 15 minutes. It ended up being more like 30 when I went back we both did a little outfit change during dinner. But just having that moment to like really sink in together. it was really, really special. I think it's really important to do. But we also made that pact to like stay together throughout that day. Like we were together pretty much most of the event.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people really felt that.
Yeah.
That's one other blessing about having multiple events, is that we knew that we could really sink into that wedding day together because we knew we had time with our family, friends on either side. So, you know, for us, it was amazing that we were able to do that. Obviously, it's not possible to always do multiple events. It's a massive another commitment, but it definitely made it extra special for us. And I guess that one other thing I thought of is like the fact that we both kind of agreed to not really drink much on our wedding day. And I'm so glad we did. Like maybe I had like a total like maybe like 4 drinks that day, from literally like the first champagne with my bridal party in the morning to like the last drink at night, just over like 12 hours or something. So it really wasn't much. And I just felt like, one, I didn't need it because I was so high on the energy of everyone on the day. But we remember every moment. Like we were so present, we were so there, we remember every second, and I'm just so grateful that we did. And, you know, we were able to let our hair down the next day. But for us, I just feel like that made a really big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Such good advice.
Yeah. So probably some of my favorites. Do you have any like big recommendations that you see like really work for the couple on the day?
Yeah, my recommendations would be just to stay intentional. Don't, like I said, don't do anything just to do it. A huge one is to map out some time for yourselves on the day. That is a huge one. I always recommend that our couples do that. The day just flies. Like you said, not everyone has the ability to do a pre and post event. So often it is just the day, and then the day just flies. So if they have, you know, even if it is only the 15 minutes just to themselves during canapes or whatever it may be, to go back to the room and do a makeup touch up or whatever it might be, it's nice just to stop, take a breath. No photos during that time, just to be with your partner. And not losing yourself to the noise is another one. Just not forgetting what it's about. Things like the meditation in the morning helps that. But doing things like that throughout the process as well. The noise out there, it's a lot, and it can become super overwhelming, and you can lose the intention. So just to really remember what it's all about. You're there to marry your person, and obviously creating a beautiful event for your family and friends. Everyone's there because of you guys, and they're going to love you regardless. So just making sure not to forget sort of what it's all about.
So true. Oh my God, it was the best ever. It's been so fun reliving it with you. And
Thanks,
it was
Tess.
honestly just such a blessing doing that with you and Liv. Like we just really enjoyed the whole process with you guys. It was so much fun. I think as much as like we feel like, oh, we can take a breath, like this huge thing has been completed, like part of us is like, well, we miss the wedding planning and the build up. Like it becomes your world for so long that, you know, and working with you guys. But we honestly we just loved it, every part of it.
Thank you. That means so much.
Yeah.
And likewise, we loved getting to know you and Shaun, two beautiful, humble, kind people. Friends for life.
That's it. Plenty more events.
Yes, exactly. Rummy's birthdays.
Yeah, that's it. So I always like to end the episode by asking our guests to leave a little verbal entry in the Tess Talks diaries. So do you have like just one lasting piece of advice or a piece of wisdom or even a piece of advice for like newlyweds, like anything that you feel like is important to leave behind?
So just to not forget intention, remembering what it's all about on the day, and spending time with your partner basically on the day. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Britt.
Of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So much fun.